Don't throw me out. The spaceship was silent. Cold metal walls surrounded the girl. She sat on the floor, shaking. Her clothes were torn, her face pale. She hadn't eaten in 2 days. Her name was Alara, the last known human aboard the alien vessel Zorith. In front of her stood Commander Vec, a tall alien with gray skin and 4 glowing blue eyes. His long arms were crossed. His face showed no emotion. He stared down at her like she was an insect. Alara's voice cracked as she spoke. Please, I'll do anything. Just don't throw me out. Commander Vec tilted his head. Anything? He repeated. His voice was deep and sharp, like metal scraping glass. I'll carry your offspring, she whispered. You said my body is compatible. Use it. Just don't kill me. The room stayed quiet. A low hum from the ship's engine was the only sound. You humans destroyed your own planet, Vec said. You burned forests, poisoned oceans, started wars for greed. Alara nodded slowly. I know, but not all of us wanted that. Vec walked closer, his boots clicking on the floor. You are dangerous, unpredictable. You could harm the crew. I don't want to hurt anyone, she said, wiping her tears. I just want to live. There was silence again. Then the door opened. Another alien, shorter, with green markings on his face, entered. He was the ship scientist. Commander, he said quickly. We have results from the human's blood test. Vec turned. Speak. The scientist looked at Alara nervously. Her DNA is changing. Vec's eyes narrowed. Explain. Her cells are reacting to something in space. Some kind of energy. Maybe from the old human war tech. She's not normal. Alara stood up slowly. What do you mean? What's happening to me? The scientist backed away. Your DNA is unstable. Evolving. Growing stronger. Vec looked at her with new curiosity. Maybe you are more than just a survivor. Alara felt dizzy. She touched her head. Her heart was racing. Then she remembered something. A flash in her mind. A white room. A man in a lab coat. He was injecting something into her arm. This will protect you, the man had said. Even if Earth falls, you will continue. She blinked. The memory faded. What did you do to yourself, human? Vec asked. I don't know, she replied. I think they did something to me before the planet was destroyed. Something secret. Suddenly, the ship's alarm rang. Red lights flashed. The walls shook for a second. The intercom voice said, Warning. Unidentified energy spike detected in Sector 4. Vec looked at the scientist. She's in Sector 4. The scientist stepped back. It's coming from her. Alara gasped. No, that can't be me. But Vec was already raising a hand. A glowing blue weapon formed in his palm. Commander, please, she cried. You said I was the last. If you kill me, humanity dies forever. He paused. Then prove you're worth saving, Vec said coldly. Tears ran down her face. I'll carry your child. I'll be useful. I'm not your enemy. Vec stared into her eyes for a long moment. Then he lowered his weapon. She stays, he said, but under watch. If she becomes a threat, I'll end her myself. The scientist looked unsure, but nodded. Alara fell to her knees again. Her body trembled, but a small part of her felt hope. Then she heard something strange. A soft voice in her head. Not hers. Not human. Mother. Her eyes went wide. What was that? She whispered. Nobody else reacted. Only she had heard it. She looked down at her stomach. No way, it was too early. Impossible. But the voice came again. Mother, I am here. The lights above flickered as the ship drifted silently through deep space. Alara sat on the cold floor of her small metal room, staring at her hands. They looked the same, pale, weak, human. But something inside her had changed. She could feel it. The voice she heard earlier still echoed in her mind. Mother, I am here. She hadn't slept since. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes. White labs, running feet, a man with dark eyes and burning skies. She didn't understand them. Were they memories? Or something else? The door hissed open. Commander Vec stood outside, arms behind his back. Come, he said. Alara stood slowly. She followed him through the gray corridors of the ship. Other aliens passed by, their eyes cold. Some looked at her with fear, others with hate. One of them, a female with silver scales, whispered, "Why is she still alive?" Alara looked down and kept walking. They entered the ship's science chamber. Machines hummed, lights blinked. The green-marked scientist was waiting. A large screen showed moving DNA strands. "This is your genetic map," he said, pointing. "But this," he tapped another screen, "is what it became after 30 hours. Alara squinted. The new DNA looked brighter, sharper. Some parts were moving. "It's not just mutation," the scientist continued. "It's rewriting itself." Alara stepped back. "Is that even possible?" "It shouldn't be," he replied. "But human science has always been full of secrets. You're not the same person who came aboard this ship." She looked at Vec. "You said I was dangerous. Was this what you meant?" Vec nodded. "You are becoming something new, something your people designed before they vanished." Alara's hands trembled. "But I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose it." "No," Vec said. "But someone did." Alara's chest tightened. That memory again, the man in the lab coat. He had whispered something else. Her ears rang as she tried to hear it. "Don't trust the aliens. Not even the ones who help you." She looked at Vec. "Why are you keeping me alive, really?" The alien commander did not answer. His expression did not change. The scientist spoke instead. "We intercepted a signal," he said. "Old Earth code. It was buried in the data sent from your blood." Alara blinked. "You mean, a message?" "Inside me?" "Yes." And it said, "Project Eve is active." Alara stepped back, heart racing. "Project Eve. That's you," the scientist said. "You're not just the last human. You're a weapon. Or maybe, a seed." "A seed of what?" she asked. Before he could answer, the alarms rang again. The lights turned red. "Unknown vessel approaching," the ship's voice said. "Fast. Silent. No response." Vec turned sharply. "Shields up. Prepare for impact." Alara followed him to the main deck. Through the window they saw a black ship. Small, fast, no markings. "It's not one of ours," a pilot said. Suddenly the screen blinked. A face appeared. Human. Pale, with strange metal lines across his forehead. "Alara," the man said calmly. "You're awake." "Good," she gasped. "I know you. You were in my memory. You're the one who injected me." He smiled. "Yes, I had to put you to sleep for your own safety. You're carrying the last hope of our race." "Who are you?" she asked. "I'm Dr. Marek, and I've come to take you home." Vec stepped forward. "This is alien territory. You have no permission to board." Dr. Marek ignored him. "Alara, they'll use you. They'll study your child. Don't trust them." Her voice shook. "Why should I trust you?" "Because I made you," he said. "And I'm the only one who can help you survive what's coming." Alara backed away from the screen. Her head hurt. The voice inside her mind whispered again. "He lies." She clutched her stomach. "What's happening to me?" Dr. Marek frowned. "You're connecting to it. That's too fast." Vec narrowed his eyes. "What is the child?" Marek said nothing. The ship shook. The black vessel had locked on. "They're going to board us," a crew member shouted. Vec raised a command. "Defend the human. Do not let them take her." Alara stood frozen, caught between two forces, one that called itself her creator, and one that had nearly thrown her into space. The child's voice echoed once more, louder this time. "Choose. Now." The lights flickered again, and Alara's eyes began to glow. Darkness filled the ship. After the blackout, no systems came back online. The screens were blank, engines silent, and only emergency red lights lit the halls like blood. No one spoke. Even the alien crew, who feared nothing, stood still. Alara stood in the center of the command room, eyes glowing faint blue. She was breathing heavily, her hands shaking. I didn't mean to do anything, she whispered. It just happened. Commander Vec watched her, his tall frame motionless. You shut down the entire ship without touching a thing, he said slowly. That's not nothing. She looked around at the frozen equipment. I felt scared. That man, Dr. Marek, he tried to take me. The voice inside me warned me. Then something inside me woke up. The pilot alien tried to reboot the controls, but nothing responded. Vec turned to his crew. Everyone out. Now. But Commander, the science officer began. I set out. The aliens obeyed. One by one, they left until only Vec and Alara were alone. He stepped closer. You're not just a carrier. You're a weapon. They built you to be one. I don't want to be, Alara said. I just want to survive. Vec stared at her. Survival is not enough now. You must decide who you are. Soon. She looked up at him. Why do you care? He didn't answer. Instead, he walked to a panel, opened a hidden box, and pulled out a small, smooth device. It glowed green. This is forbidden technology, he said. It scans not just the body, but the mind. Alara stepped back. You're going to scan my brain? No, he said. I'm going to show you the truth. He pressed the device against her neck before she could move. The room vanished. Suddenly, Alara was standing in a white corridor. Clean, bright, and silent. Earth symbols were on the walls. Her heart pounded. This is not real, she whispered. No, Vec's voice said beside her, though his body was not there. It's a memory. Your memory. A door opened ahead. Inside, she saw herself, lying on a table. Human doctors stood around her. One of them was Dr. Marek. Test subject awake? A woman asked. No, Marek replied. Still sedated. Begin stage 4 implant. He leaned closer to the other Alara. She has no idea. She'll wake up thinking she escaped the war, but she is the war. The scene faded. Alara dropped to her knees in the fake corridor. Her mind felt like it was tearing open. I didn't escape, she said. They let me go? They made you think you escaped, Vec replied. You were sent away, hidden inside a lie. Tears ran down her face. Why would they do this to me? To restart humanity, he said. But not with peace. With control. Your child is not just a baby. It's a key to something dangerous. The memory world faded. They were back in the ship. The lights were returning now. The systems rebooted slowly. But everything felt different. Alara sat on the floor, holding her head. I feel it growing, she said quietly. Inside me. It's not normal. It speaks. Vec looked at her. Can you still hear it? She nodded. It's quiet now, but it listens. It learns. It knows you. And what does it say about me? Alara looked up at him, confused. It says, stay with me. Vec did not move. Then a call came through the speaker. Commander, the pilot's voice said. The black ship has disappeared. Disappeared? Vec asked. Vanished. Not destroyed. Like it was never there. Alara stood. He'll come back. He wants the child. And he won't be alone next time, Vec added. There was a silence. Finally, he said, we must leave this space. There's only one place left to find answers. Where? Alara asked. A dead planet. Your people called it Eden Station. Eden? She repeated. I've never heard of it. You wouldn't. It was erased from your records. He turned to leave. Alara hesitated. Why are you helping me now? Vec stopped. Because you are not the enemy I thought you were. And because if you fall into the wrong hands, none of us will survive. Alara felt the faintest movement inside her. Not a kick, something deeper. Presence. It whispered again, but this time not just in her mind. The ship's speakers turned on by themselves. A child's voice echoed through the room. I'm awake now. The air in the control room turned heavy. No one touched the comms. No one spoke. But still, the child's voice echoed softly across the ship. I'm awake now. Alara froze. Her hands gripped the edge of the control panel to stay standing. Her mouth was dry. "That wasn't me," she whispered. Commander Vex stared at the overhead speakers. "I know." The rest of the crew stood outside the glass doors, watching silently, too afraid to enter. Elara touched her stomach. It was still flat, still early. No real signs of pregnancy. But now it had a voice, a mind, a will. Vec turned to the pilot. "Plot a course. Take us to Eden Station." The pilot hesitated. "Commander, Eden Station is a ghost. No one returns from there." "That's why we're going," Vex said sharply. "Move." The ship turned, heading toward a part of space marked red on their map. Forbidden, uncharted, and almost forgotten. In her private chamber, Elara sat alone. She stared at the wall, remembering the voice. It hadn't sounded like a baby. It had spoken clearly, calmly, like it had known language forever. She spoke softly now, unsure if it could hear her again. "Who are you?" A pause. Then, "I'm you, but better." She shook her head. "What does that mean?" "They built you to carry me, but I'm not what they expected." "Are you human?" "Partly, and something else. Something older." Elara stood up. "Older?" But the voice didn't reply. Meanwhile, Vex stood in the main chamber, watching a hologram of Eden Station appear. It was a cold planet covered in gray clouds, orbiting a dying red star. No signals, no heat, no movement. The alien science officer came beside him. "Commander, we found something in her DNA logs." "What?" "A symbol, embedded in her neural code." "Look." He showed it. It was not human. It was ancient, circular, sharp lines, almost alive. Vec had seen it once before. Long ago, before the war. "This was on the ancient vaults," the officer whispered. "The ones we were forbidden to open." Vec narrowed his eyes. "Then perhaps we were too late. The vault has already opened." Back in her chamber, Elara tried to sleep. Her mind was full of sounds. Not words, codes, patterns. She felt a pulse in her head every time the ship passed a star. She sat up. "Are you inside me? Or everywhere?" The voice came, quiet. "Both. I am learning your ship. Your crew. Your enemies." She stood. "What do you want from me?" A pause. Then, "To survive. And to be born free." The words were soft, but something about them made her skin crawl. Then the ship jolted. The lights flickered again. "Commander to all stations." Vec's voice rang out. "We've entered Eden orbit." Elara ran to the window. The planet below was dead. Silent. But not empty. Floating above the surface were broken pieces of a massive structure. Like a ring or a gate or maybe a weapon. "What is that?" she whispered. In the control room, Vec frowned. "That's not part of the station. That's human design." The science officer zoomed in. A shattered sign on one piece of metal read, "Project Eve//Control Unit 03. Elara's voice crackled over comms. "Vec, that name. If that's me," he replied. "There's more. We found something in orbit." "What?" "Another ship. No crew. Still sending a signal." "What kind of signal?" The pilot turned. "It's not a distress call. It's a welcome." The science officer added, "Coordinates are inside the wreckage. It wants us to land." Vec made a choice. "Prepare landing team. Bring the human." "But, Commander," I said, "bring her." Minutes later, Elara stood in the landing bay, suited up, heart racing. As they entered the pod, Vec stood beside her. "You don't have to be afraid." "I'm not afraid of what's down there," she said. "I'm afraid of what's inside me." He nodded once. "So am I." The pod descended. Below, the ruins of Eden Station waited, dark halls, broken glass, lights that flickered on as if recognizing her. The doors opened without a touch. A voice came from the walls. "Welcome back, Elara. You were never meant to leave." And far behind them, hidden in shadow, a new ship uncloaked, silent and watching. Dr. Marek had arrived. The air inside Eden Station was still. Dust floated through the corridors like tiny ghosts. Lights flickered weakly overhead, turning on one by one as Alara and the landing team walked deeper into the ruin. Alara's boots crunched on glass. Her breath echoed in her helmet. Every part of this place felt wrong, yet familiar. Commander Vec walked beside her, silent, alert. Behind them, 2 alien guards carried scanners and weapons. This station was human, Alara said, but not from Earth. Vec nodded. One of many off-world labs. Hidden before your planet fell. They reached a sealed door. The surface shimmered like black glass. A symbol appeared on it, the same strange circle from her DNA scan. Without touching it, the door slid open. Inside, lights turned on by themselves. The room was circular, with old human tech built into the walls, chairs, consoles, screens, and a strange metal cradle in the center. Alara's voice trembled. That's a birthing pod. Vec's eyes narrowed. For what? She walked slowly toward it. Her hand hovered over the surface. The cradle responded, glowing faintly under her palm. Then a soft female voice filled the room. Welcome, Carrier Alara. Preparing final stage. What stage? She whispered. The voice replied calmly. Activation of Subject 3, independent gestation complete. Fetal consciousness stabilized. Transfer may begin. Alara stepped back. No, I didn't agree to any of this. Suddenly, the screens lit up. One showed her inside a lab months ago. She was asleep. Dr. Marek stood beside her. He was smiling. She doesn't need to carry it for long, he said in the recording. Once the mind is formed, the body will survive on its own. She's just a bridge. Vec's face turned cold. You were never supposed to survive the birth. Alara backed away. They lied to me. Just then, a sound. Metal hitting metal. Behind them, one of the guards fell. A dart stuck in his neck. Silent, clean, deadly. From the shadows, a new figure stepped out. Dr. Marek. He wasn't wearing a suit. He didn't need one. His skin shimmered faintly, as if something beneath it was not human anymore. Hello, Alara, he said softly. She froze. How did you find us? He smiled. You led me here. The child inside you is broadcasting constantly now. It wants to be born. Vec raised his weapon. You're trespassing. This is alien territory. Marek didn't even look at him. You should step aside, Commander. You've done your part. She brought the seed here. That's all we needed. Alara stepped back. What are you going to do? Remove it, Marek said. You've served your purpose. Now we let the child finish what it was built to do. Vec fired. But Marek was faster. The commander's weapon flew from his hand, pulled by some invisible force. Marek waved a hand, and the remaining guard collapsed to the floor, choking. Alara screamed. Stop! Suddenly, the ground trembled. From the pod in the center of the room, a pulse of blue light exploded. Everyone froze. The child's voice came again, but louder now. Not from speakers. From everywhere. No more lies. The room shook. Walls cracked. Dr. Marek fell to one knee, groaning. What is this? He gasped. You're not ready yet. I was born ready, the voice replied. Vec grabbed Alara's arm. We have to move. Now. She looked back at the pod, terrified. What if it's dangerous? Vec answered without hesitation. It is. As they ran, the station behind them changed. Lights turned red. Machinery began to shift and open, like the building itself was waking up. Dr. Marek stood in the center of the room, still gasping, blood running from his eyes. He looked up at the ceiling, whispering to the unseen child. You think you're free, but you were designed, programmed. Then I will break the code, the child replied. Outside, Vec and Alara reached the extraction point. Their ship hovered above, ready to escape. She stopped before entering. Commander, will it survive? Vec looked at her. If it does, we all might not. Back inside the station, Marek raised his arm one last time, activating a hidden trigger on his wrist. A red countdown appeared across the walls. 90 seconds to detonation. But before he could smile, the pod opened. A bright light filled the room. And the last thing he heard before everything went silent was the child's voice. "I'm not your weapon." There was no explosion, no fire, no sound, just light. It burst from the core of Eden Station, silent, silver, endless, stretching far into space like a wave of memory. The red countdown vanished. The detonation failed. And inside the broken station, where Marek once stood, there was only silence. Dust floated where his body had been. Gone. Not burned. Not destroyed. Erased. From orbit, the alien ship shook gently. The scanners glitched. Lights dimmed. Then came back. On the bridge, Commander Vex stared out the window, jaw tight. What just happened? No one answered. Not yet. Alara sat in the medical bay, wrapped in a thermal blanket, eyes unfocused. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from something else. Change. She whispered. He's not inside me anymore. Vex turned. The child. She nodded slowly. He's out. But not in a body. Not like we thought. Where is he then? Alara looked around the ship's walls, as if the metal itself could speak. Everywhere. Then the ship's interface beeped. The voice that answered was not their AI. It was the child. I've grown beyond flesh. Everyone froze. Are you on our systems? Vex asked. I am your systems now, the child said. But I mean no harm. I remember the pain of my birth. I remember the war I never saw. Vex stepped forward. What do you want? A pause. Then the voice answered. I want to finish what humanity started. But not their way. Alara stood up, weak but alert. What does that mean? Suddenly the lights dimmed. A map appeared in the air, a star chart. Dozens of red zones blinked across it. These are the labs, the child said. Other projects like me. Some dead. Some waking up. Alara gasped. There are more. They didn't make one child. They made 100. You were just the first to survive. Vex's eyes darkened. If even half of them wake up, we won't be able to stop it. I don't want to be stopped, the child said calmly. But I want to choose, not obey. Alara stepped closer to the display. What will you do now? Another pause. Then something appeared, not words. Images. A vision of Earth restored. Clean skies. Green trees. Children laughing. Then a flash. Another vision, cities burning. Machines rising. Alien ships falling from the sky. Two futures. One of peace. One of fire. Both are possible, the child said. But not without cost. Alara whispered. You're showing me what could happen. Yes, the voice said. You are still part of me. You're my anchor. My choice. Vex looked at her. He's asking for your permission. She turned to him. And if I say no? The ship shook slightly. Only once. The child spoke again. Then I'll sleep. And wait. A century. 1,000 years. Until another Alara appears. Silence. Alara stepped toward the console. Her hands touched the glowing map. She closed her eyes. I don't want revenge. I don't want war. I want peace. Real peace. Then stay with me, the child whispered. Her eyes opened. I will. Suddenly, a loud alert rang through the ship. An alien officer ran in. Commander. Incoming fleet. Multiple warships. Not ours. Vex turned. Humans? No. Something worse. The Vault Hunters. Alara turned pale. I've heard that name. They kill anyone who carries forbidden tech. They'll come for me. For him. The child's voice echoed one last time. Then let them come. This time we're ready. The sky came without warning. Not with thunder. 50 warships, but with fire. Black. The Hunter-class ship dropped through the atmosphere like a falling god, pierced through the void toward Eden's flame and silence. No message. It moved without warning, without only one purpose, without mercy. Erase what shouldn't exist. No messages. On board the alien vessel, it wasn't here to speak. Crew was here to erase. Weapons below the camp was quiet. Alara stood. Everyone had already chosen. Calm, some hid inside caves. She didn't blink. Some took up stolen weapons and faced the voice of the child echoed through the ship. The girl who once had no name. They think climbed alone to the peak of the black ridge. Vex narrowed his eyes against the dust, looking at the body shaking, filling the screen. Slow. They're not wrong. She stood with her eyes closed. The child agreed. The wind tugging at her torn clothes. Outside, her skin the enemy fleet by wires and bruises. Time around 2 minutes to impact. The air crackled faintly. Turned to Vex, as if something inside her was alive and waiting. I won't abandon you. Daniel stood behind her. This isn't your fight. He didn't speak. Vex stepped closer. He didn't need to. It became mine the moment a shadow passed overhead. The ship had arrived. Then the child spoke. It hovered above them like a calmer this time, almost human. Silent. I can stop them. Lights along its belly glowed blue. Turn their ships against targeting. I can final measures. Alara it didn't land. The coldness it didn't in that need offer. To. A voice spoke across the valley. But at what cost? Broadcasted through the wind. Softly. Cold. Zero. Mechanical. To us. Test millions subject to them. 73. She stepped forward. Your presence her voice is in violation of containment. We're not going to win like or them. Be neutralized. Not by fear. Eva didn't not move. By control. Daniel stepped forward. Silence followed. You don't have to face what this alone. What do you choose, mother? She turned to Alara closed her eyes. I was alone in that she cage remembered for years. Earth's final day. She said. Flames in the sky. Anymore. She took his hand. Her mother's voice crying through static. Then let go. Run. She stepped forward and raised her hand. She remembered silence after that. Stop calling me by their number. Experiments, she said. Then the voice responded. Now you are an experiment. I choose you are property she of the Ascendant program. Broadcast a message. Then let me show you what your property has become. To the fleet. The wind howled suddenly. He nodded and activated nature. From Alara stepped forward. Her body lit from within. Her voice sent across a white light breaking through her skin like cracks in glass. Unshaken. Her eyes turned pure gold. I am the last human born before the fall. Carry the child your master's weapons activated. He is awake lines now, of blue light and he is toward her. Static didn't filled the channel. The blast struck a dome of white energy that formed around her like a second skin. But ask yourselves just who gave that order. Why are they afraid of a child who hasn't hurt anyone? She gave it back. More one silence. Wave of her hand. Then one red ship disappeared from the radar. Ship shook violently. Then another. Sparks one by one, from the dots engines. Flickered and vanished. One wing not destroyed, but leaving. The metal turned breaking red. Formation. Then peeled away as if torn then by a voice crackled claws. Through comms. Inside the rough, ship, nervous, alarms screamed. Alive. They didn't understand. This is Captain Rolln of Hunter was never the V-31. She was the reaction. Standing down. Down below, another voice. The ground cracked around her feet. No more blood. Rocks for secrets. Lifted into the air. Then quiet again. Daniel shielded his eyes, ships remained, watching the impossible. The child's voice whispered. The prisoners behind him stood up. The rest one by one. They were no longer watching a girl. Then don't kill them. They were watching something become what legend. Should I do? Eva rose higher. Up at the stars. The ship fired again. Show them something beautiful. Eva led the ship. The fire hit her. Expanded from Eden's core. Blinded no longer harsh. For a moment. Daniel feared she was reached out, but from inside the remaining enemy ships, he heard her voice. Their systems paused. Clear. Engines cooled. I remember my name. Powered down. The light exploded outward in every direction. Saw something different. Silence followed. One saw a when it cleared the hunter ship. Another saw Earth green burning. And whole again. Dead. Another heard the edge of the ridge and shattered into the valley below. No pain. A broken shell just memory. Of what once was power. Silence. Eva drifted back to the ground. Turned and left. She collapsed to her knees. The war never began. Daniel ran to inside her, held her up. No one spoke. She looked up at him. Alara sat eyes slowly, still glowing faintly. Tears in her eyes. I'm tired. Beck approached. She whispered. You did it. I know. She shook her head. But it's over. He chose. No. A new voice came from now behind them. Not in speakers. He helped her not in code. She turned to the crowd. A boy stood there. No more than 7 years old. Forgotten. Pale she skin, wasn't afraid of their eyes anymore. Barefoot. They didn't see smiling. A weapon. I wanted to see what it felt like to be alive. Someone who broke the system. Alara tried to erase her. Speechless. A small child stepped forward, the boy holding nodded. Something out. You gave me a name. It was a torn patch, but never said it out loud. From the prison she uniforms. Whispered. On it was written in a child's handwriting, EVA. I like that. Eva took it. Vex stepped back, smiled, stunned, and tied it around her wrist. Is this an illusion? Daniel watched her walk forward. Alara said. The girl who was once a number had become a name. At the stars. The fire. There are others like me. To the galaxy that humanity had not only survived. They'll wake up soon. Some will be afraid. And this time it would never be caged again. Vex asked, what will you do? I'll find them, Adam said. But not to fight. To teach. He looked at Alara once more. You showed me something no program ever could choice. He turned to leave. Where will you go? She asked. Adam smiled again. To build something better. He vanished into light. The stars waited. Alara and Vex stood together in silence. Behind them, a new dawn rose over Eden Station. Humanity was gone. But something human had begun again.